It's been
Uh,
really great to get to know you in this position. Thank you, Debbie, very much.
Thank you. You are live.
Thank you. Good evening. This is I'm Terry Lomax. I chair the Maritime Advisory Board. This is the February 18th regular meeting of the board. As my normal practice, I just go around the screen and give a shout out to who's here. We have Frida Wildy, member of the board. We have Andy Fagley, member of the board. We have Ross Arnett, member of the board and alderman from Ward 8. We have Jake Iverson, who's a regular attendee from Watermark. We have Rick Nelson, member of the board. We have our harbor master, Beth Bellis. We have Duncan Hood, our a member of the board. Mike Tomasini, vice chair, member of the board. Debbie Goslin, who has been a longtime 30-year member of the Maritime Advisory Board and is now participating as a regular guest. We have Kimberly Consoli, our secretary. We have Madeline from the City of Annapolis TV, Hope Stewart from the City of Annapolis, Ashley Leonard from the Office of Law, the City of Annapolis. And my screen keeps bouncing around with people coming in and everybody's moving. Scott Allen is the last, I think the only one I didn't have yet. So with that, we will go ahead and get started.
Terry?
Yes, Duncan.
Duncan, you misspoke at the front. In case Kimberly's taking notes, it's March, not February.
Oh, well, guess I read I didn't update you know what? I was reading from the minutes, the heading of the minutes instead of the agenda. Thank you, Duncan. The record is now corrected and I stand corrected. So the first order of business is the approval of minutes from the February meeting.
There you go.
Kimberly sent out an updated set of minutes with some typographical changes earlier today. I assume everybody had an opportunity to read them. And if not, you can look at them online while we're speaking. But is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Duncan has moved. Frida has seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Yo.
Aye.
Kimberly, it's everybody. Next item is on the report from Rick Nelson for the March meeting of the MIAB.
So well, I think it was the end of February meeting,
February, right.
24th. And so I will first admit to an error on my part. I thought that one could just join the meeting virtually, but as Frida was good enough to point out, you actually have to contact their administrator to get permission to join on to that board meeting. Having said that, two things. That was the day of the cyber attack. So apparently the meeting was very truncated, and Frida actually was also good enough to check with some people that were there, and nothing substantive was actually discussed. They haven't posted their minutes yet from the meeting, so I can't verify that. So anyway, it would appear as though it was a non-event, but my apologies for not being better prepared to navigate the portals of the Anne Arundel County Maritime Advisory Board.
Well, their schedule seems to bounce around because they have a meeting for Scott, for your benefit. I think I sent you the link, but you might reach out to them to get put on their list. They have a meeting again in March on the 24th. So they, I guess maybe they didn't get a whole lot accomplished in February due to their cyber event, which I think they're working their way through. And they will be, so they're going to be meeting again in March. So Scott can sign in and attend that one. Next on the list is staff reports, economic development. We have Hope with us.
Hi there. So
The update from us is we just signed a grant agreement with the Maritime Trades Association of Maryland, and they, in cooperation with Anne Arundel Workforce Development Corporation, will be implementing an apprenticeship program for Annapolis residents to be apprentices in Annapolis maritime businesses. So they are hoping to, they've been invited to give an updated economic matters in April. So hopefully we'll have some more to tell you then.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
That's, yeah, is that also in connection with Anne Arundel Community College?
No, it's just a maritime trade. No, it's on the job training. So
Okay.
they will be recruiting people to actually work at these businesses. I mean, it's up to them. The Maritime Trades is the one who will be administering this program. So,
All right. Let me. How about the public water access plan? What's the status on that? Anybody know?
I think Eric Lisinski is still working on it.
Okay.
Was Eric supposed to come and present tonight?
No, I just keep it on the agenda because it's an open, it's kind of, it's an open item and an open, I didn't have Eric on the list. So no update. Next item, I'm gonna not start with the harbor master report, but I'm gonna start with a follow-up item from last week. There was a discussion about the relocation of the harbor master and the sequence of construction. And I'm talking with Eileen today, and Beth, you can confirm, it looks like the harbor master's office is in the process of, or has already completed moving basically across the street. Am I correct?
Yeah, hold on.
You're good.
You're on.
Can you hear me?
Just-
Yep.
And
Oh.
good.
Okay. Yeah, so we actually have moved over to 4 Dock Street.
Where is that exactly?
Across the,
So yeah, well, if you were looking at Sophie's Crepes, then there's one more building, I think, and then 4 Dock Street. So it's catty corner to Sophie's Crepes. Or in one way, it's in the exact same plane as Sophie Crepes, just not the front door. Does that make sense?
Is it the tall brick building that Ron Hollander owns?
It's the tall brick building that has a deck on top.
Okay.
That one. And we're in Suite 100. So there's several ways to get into that. And so we did put signage up, and we've been working really hard to try to make that home. But it's not been an easy transition. So, but we're doing well. We're keeping our chins up.
is the rooftop deck accessible for you?
I think no.
Now,
Oh,
what about the bar at Latitude 38?
I think that WSP is going to occupy some of that space, but I'm not sure who gets access to that. But if you come by and visit us, you'll see we're making it work, but we're a little crowded, but we're making it work.
So in that same regard, I did have a conversation with Eileen about the construction schedule or lack thereof at the moment. The case that was pending in the circuit court was that there was a hearing, I think it was end of last week. But the judge is not, maybe a couple of weeks ago, but the judge has not yet issued a decision, and it looks like it might be another couple of weeks before that decision is issued. So
So the hearing was yesterday,
it was yesterday. Okay.
and Judge Malone decided he wanted 2 weeks to opine. And in 2 weeks, he will give a decision.
Okay.
So at the moment, we're sort of treading water, I suppose.
All right. Moving on then. Yes, Andy.
Oh, in the meantime, is your old building, former building, going to be raised?
RAZE.
My guess is that it's not legally allowed to be.
Great. So we got 2 weeks.
Yeah, and my thought is that if it's not going to happen for a year or more, we'll see.
Thank you.
All right. Now onto the regular harbor master's report. Any updates for us.
Trying to bring it up right now. Let's see. I didn't have a lot of news. I think that was the big news I already presented. I guess there's a little bit of news on house barges, now called houseboats. So the mayor has given me a preliminary list of who he would like to be on that task force. They have to be approved by city council. That has to also be compliant with the legislation, which at the moment it's not. So I'm going to try to do double duty between now and the 24th to say, oh, we didn't invite X, Y, and Z people. And also, does everyone on this list want to be included? So we're really going to try to push hard to get this on the March 24th council agenda, but that seems like it's going to be hard because I just got the list today. So I'll do my very best. The mayor has done his best. We have the list, but it doesn't comply entirely with the legislation. So I'm going to work very hard tomorrow to try to figure that out.
Beth, I'm sorry, what's missing in terms of complying with the legislation?
Liveaboards. Andy Fabley. I have to come up with a list of liveaboards that would like to be on this, but then I also have to send out this invitation and say, hey, the mayor would like you to serve. It's not like a big deal. It's only like an hour or two a month. The mayor would like you to serve. Are you willing to serve? And then these people have to return their response. And so between now and the 24th, that's kind of a tight turnaround. But I'll do my best. And I have to get a list of liveaboards because that list of people is not on there, and that I think that's required in legislation, which makes sense.
Yes, Ross.
So I know that Sheila Finlayson nominated Mary O'Brien, and I nominated a person from Ward 8 who has been a liveaboard but also owns a house. So, this is a little frustrating because there just hasn't been a lot of movement, a lot of focus from the mayor's office on this, but there are liveaboards available, and I don't know whether Mary would want to be on it or not, but in fact, I think she would like liveaboards to be excluded from the whole discussion. But Sheila did nominate her.
Would you like a couple more liveaboards to be nominated?
I'd love it. People would send me like a list
Okay,
because then I can finish out the list.
yeah, I'm typing something right now, Beth, so I'll send it to you in just a minute.
Fantastic.
All right, anything else on that topic? Mike?
Without revealing the names of the selected individuals, how many people are participating in the task force so far from the mayor?
On my drive. Let's see. Jeez. Sorry, this is quicker.
Okay.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Looks like at the moment it's 24, but again, I don't think that's compliant with the legislation. So I think we need more people, which it's going to be really hard because we only have until, Ross, correct me if I'm wrong, we only have until July to give feedback. Is that right?
Depends upon when we consider the calendar to start, but there's probably only going to be one report from the task force, the 3-month report. If the mayor is waiting to introduce legislation until we get something from the task force. That legislation would have to be introduced on the 26th of May. That's the last time we can introduce legislation that's going to the planning commission. So, yeah, I don't know. And I don't know how long the council is going to meander with approving appointments, but we'll do the best we can. That's your byword for the night, Beth, and I concur. We'll do the best we can.
Meander.
I will point out that this board recommended something more than 6 months.
It did. The end of the term is what is getting in the way.
Right. Frida, you had a question?
I'm sorry, I have a question about a different part of Beth's report.
Okay.
I'll wait, thank you.
Well, any other discussion on the slow pace of getting a committee on houseboats together? Hearing none. Frida, what's your question?
Beth, do you have a timeline for the work to begin on the dock at the Davis Park at 4th Street?
It's in the report.
No, but I will send an email to Alexis and I will copy you.
Okay, thank you.
She's really very fast at answering and she's very, very good. So I will send Alexis an email and I will copy you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anything else on the topic of Beth's report? We're moving right along. It may not be dark when we're done.
Bad thing.
The small business work group, Mike, what is the status there? Is that still waiting to go to a meeting, a hearing on April 4th or thereabouts?
I think the best I remember, yes, we're supposed to return to rules and city government on the 4th, I believe, which is a strange notion. I don't have to do any work for it other than to show up, but Seth was going to fine tune his document to present to rules and city government April 4th. Is that right, Hope?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah.
And I just spoke to him last week and he's working on it now, so it'll be ready.
Perfect.
All right. Beth, I know I saw, I think from the last report at least, that there's a move afoot to reconfigure the St. Mary's Cove moorings and maybe provide for larger boats in St. Mary's Cove and then take some of those moorings and you sprinkle them farther up Spa Creek to be able to provide a little bit more anchor control farther up the creek. Am I correct? And that's where we're sort of headed?
I think
You're back to breaking up again. I don't know why. You were doing well for a little bit there.
oh gosh, I'm at home. How about now?
It's better.
Okay, so I have to check with Tyler, but I think that we've secured bay lands, do the conceptuals. And I think we're on our way. I think the difficulty's no, I shouldn't say difficulty. I think we're going to take some time to make sure constituents are good with where we want to put them. And so we're moving forward with it, at speed, I should say.
So in that same regard, I did see, and I can't remember, it might have been Historic Annapolis, or I don't think, maybe HPC, not a Historic Annapolis. The St. Mary's looks like they're back to their shoreline mitigation or shoreline work.
I haven't had that update, but it doesn't surprise me.
If anybody knows anything about it, I mean, I did see it on somebody's agenda, and it might have been, I think it might have been the HPC. Oh, I'm not sure why. Maybe it was the port wardens, but you might look and see. I know it was a topic on our list for a while, and then it sort of fell off because nothing was happening for a year or so. but it does look like, and I don't know what that will do or not do with respect to the relocation at St. Mary's Cove, but it probably ought to be on your radar at least to make sure they're not putting a dock or something sticking onto the St. Mary's Cove. I don't think they are, but at least there ought to be some coordination, I suspect.
Can I ask Beth one last
Yeah.
question? And this is by way of alert to the MAB, but I've been shown a schematic of a major extension of the long dock out into the harbor. I hope you're shaking your head no, Beth, that it isn't moving anywhere, but it isn't in your report, so I don't know how live it is.
Just.
I won't ask Beth to comment, but I will comment. I mean, it is a huge extension out into the mooring field. And I think it's more than 50 slips to be built by John Bruno and Mike Keenan. And I expressed great concern to the mayor. However, he's shown it to many other alderpersons. And I know that Alderman Gay is very enthusiastic about it. So that may be coming to you in the near future.
So are you talking about extending basically off the in front of the Burgess house?
That's yes.
Is that a navigation channel?
Yes, that's it's literally a navigation channel. It's a navigation channel that is used a lot during races.
Well,
Yeah.
not only that, they're gonna have trouble with watermarks boats coming in and out of there.
Any charter dock boat, not just watermark. We're talking any
Yeah.
charter vessel. The what's the mini cruise ship that comes in at New
Yeah.
Year's Eve?
Or visiting tall ships, you bet.
Yeah, visiting tall ships, anything. I mean, that's it sounds like a
Front 40.
What's
I'm
that?
sorry, Beth.
The current plans would mean the removal of the entire front 40.
Yeah. If you wanted to avoid the wind shadow from chart house, you won't be able to do it. You're going to have to be tied up to the chart house.
Anyone who would like to tie up a boat there in a northeast breeze or east breeze would be well recommended to bring good fenders and lines.
Well,
Among other things, yes. Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention. It's definitely something we need to keep on the radar. I think, I mean, the sheer fact of the navigation channel being there for everybody, and not just commercial vessels coming and going to Ego Alley and the charter dock, it makes that almost prohibitive. And I would have thought John would have had a little more sense than that, being a boater himself. But I'll probably give feedback on that.
Doesn't that go out beyond the harbor line?
it does all
Well,
kinds of things.
The question is, does the harbor line apply to the city?
Do we have a harbor line anymore?
One would hope we do. And I gotta believe we would somewhere along there.
Well, in the latest proposed revisions to Title 15, regardless of where the channel is, the harbor line was proposed to be in the middle of the creek. So you would have 25% from each shoreline and 50% in the middle, and the harbor line was in the middle of that 50%.
That make for a shorter tug of war rope.
Got that right.
I see no safety issues with that.
Not at all. What? How is their interest in doing that? What's the?
Well, of course, it got confounded by Kevin Scott's death, and it hasn't really fallen to anybody else. But I was being recruited to be the sponsor of the amendments. I didn't like them. I didn't like the way they were doing the lateral lines, and so I've pretty much said I'm not sponsoring it in its current form. But we do have the photos from that Sean and the work that Sean Wampler did marking everything with GIS. But I think between Kevin and I, it's sort of gone on the back shelf.
All right.
And just before we get to that, Ross, I mean, the rationale, besides the fact of the revenue from 50 additional slips, what's the logic, the case for it?
I can't explain to you the logic because I don't know what it is. I just know that Bruno and Keenan came with a $50 million proposal to do a major extension out into the harbor.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
that'd be a bad thing.
Do we?
$260,000 per year, and only 75% of that revenue is the front 40. So if those are removed, 0.75 times 270,000, that's going to be gone.
So, Beth, let me just ask you as a pragmatic, because I know you were talking about the underutilization of the underbookings that you perceive for the existing dock. Would anybody fill 50 more slips on a basis that would make sense?
It's like, you keep thinking about St. Mary's. That's, but our existing docks are booked solidly every weekend when people are coming out. I wouldn't say our existing docks are underbooked. And yeah, I mean, to do away with the front 40, that's a big deal. And that's a lot of money. And that's a different, puts an entirely different face on visiting Annapolis because people want mooring balls.
Right. And we have a lot of other activities in the harbor, not the least of which are Wednesday night races, lights parade, 4th of July, you name it, that would be impacted by a total and massive reconfiguration. I hesitate to use, well, I won't use it, but make the analogy, but with a total reconfiguration of the harbor for something like that, frankly.
Would,
If you think about how traffic runs from the Navy Seawall to the middle of the entrance to Spa Creek, that's a highway on a busy day, which many days are busy days. So if you think about the traffic running from the Navy Seawall to the middle of the entrance to Spa Creek, and we take that all away, so now you can only enter and egress from the middle of Spa Creek to the eastern side of that entrance. And that has to be everyone from paddlecraft to commercial craft to recreational boats to super yachts. If you look at what that looks like, if you look at that, I don't know how that could work.
I would assume that the port wardens would have to weigh in and would have a lot of questions about it also. So,
you know, Terry, it sounds like this is being driven by money somewhere.
oh yes.
Yeah, I mean, who's getting the money? Where's it going? I mean, is the
Well,
city even?
I think we're way ahead of the
Yeah.
way ahead of it at this point. But I think John and Mike would not be doing this as a gift to the city.
Well, absolutely. And I'm thinking, you know, is their sales pitch, oh, Annapolis, you're going to make a lot of money on this, because it's a stupid idea.
It might be, gee, if we get it built, we can flip it to safe harbor.
Yeah. Whoa.
Or the parking people.
Or the parking, yeah. There'll be a kiosk.
Oh God, don't say that.
To plug in to bring your parking.
You're gonna light me up. You're gonna light me up.
All right.
Is
We'll
there,
have to register with Park Mobile.
Terry, is there a time when the Maritime Advisory Board should express an opinion on this to the city council?
It is a nascent idea, no legislation.
No.
The time that this might show up is in the budget because it would have to go into the capital improvement project, even if most of the money's coming private. And there would have to be all kinds of contractual agreements, be a public-private partnership and so on. Remember, effectively, this term ends the third week of October. So just keep treading water and hoping that we go away.
The short answer, Scott, no, we don't need to, but that does bring me to, I'm assuming there's no update on the recognition program, since it's sort of been kind of rolled into the Welcome Center / City Dock project to see what that shakes out. And if I'm wrong, correct me, but I think that was the last where we left.
I think you're correct, Terry. And in the back of our minds, we're looking for an organization or a city department to sort of own and or manage the program eventually, as well as the geography of where its home might be. And Ross, I might talk to you a little bit about that for the city. And I have not been able to get a hold of Alan Miller. I think he's been out of town or busy or something, but we'll keep working on that. And there are certain independent organizations like the museum, which would be a natural owner, so to speak, but I can knock on their door again. But if anybody has any suggestions, please forward them to me and Alan on that, and I'll talk to Ross maybe a little bit about this off the record. So.
Okay. All right, moving on. We already had the update on the city dock construction schedule. The next item, or actually the last item, I had gotten an inquiry about the monthly harbor master report, and concerning whether it is posted online, whether it's attached to the minutes, and then I'm trying to remember who talked to me about it also, that typically reports like that, even on a monthly basis, are typically available to anyone who wants to request a copy. And maybe it might have been Hope that mentioned it, but they are not typically attached to the minutes, nor are they typically just posted independently online. They're informational for the board for discussion, and if somebody wants a report, they're certainly free to request it. I'm inclined to go ahead and keep that same policy in place. Certainly, the reports are available, should be available to anybody who wants to request a copy, but I don't see that we need to we certainly don't need to have Kimberly having to post them, as part of the minutes. She summarizes the topics that we do discuss, but that doesn't deal with the whole report. And unless somebody has a different thought, I'm just going to continue to deal with it the same way we've done it, is get a copy of the report ahead of the meeting, discuss whatever topics are in the report that we want to have more information on, have the report available because it's been submitted to the board, and then leave it at that, unless somebody's got a different thought.
Yeah, Terry, we might just add a little bit of language in the agenda when it says Harbor Master's report, parens, available upon request, end parens.
Kimberly, that's a good point. If you put that in, that a full copy is available upon request of, and I guess you requested of, probably requested of Hope, and then anybody who reads the minutes knows where to go find it.
I wouldn't worry too much about it.
I wouldn't either, but I did get a request, so
that's cool. No, that's cool.
Yeah,
I love best.
Somebody pays attention. Yes, Ross.
So I do have an item that I want to mention to you that is moving very rapidly, and this is proposed legislation to modify the R4 zoning districts to admit a lot of maritime uses. And the maritime uses that they want to introduce into R4 are dock slips and piers and other facilities of which boats are berthed in conjunction with other maritime uses, yacht and sailing clubs and member services, sailing schools, open areas paved or unpaved, and structures, providing for on-land boat and marine storage, open areas paved or unpaved, providing for on-land boat and marine storage and display, structures existing as of today, providing for on-land boat and marine equipment storage, boat rentals, charters, and charter services, marine transportation and water taxi, tugboat, vessel towing services, fireboat, powerboat, and harbor master and similar services, yacht and sailing club offices, marine educational facilities, marine museums and aquariums, maritime services and organizations, delicatessens, food markets, and parks and recreational facilities. Oh yeah, and one more, transient boat services such as laundry, pool, recreational facilities. This is all proposed to be added to the R4 use table. The initiative here is to make legal capital subs operation out of Nautilus Point. But it was one of those, give them an inch and they'll take a mile. I have been working with the city attorney and the city planning and zoning director, and we have boiled down, if we're going to do this at all, a use, in addition to the use table for R4, one line, which is maritime uses in the R4 districts for boat rentals, charters, and charter services, subject to special exception. The reason I'm bringing it up and why it's moving so fast is there's no way that this change to the use table can get done quickly. So there is a rapid moving resolution, which is temporary approval of specific maritime uses in the R4 districts. And essentially what it allows is City Council hereby resolves to allow boat rentals, charters, and charter services in the R4 zone within 100 feet of the shoreline. This permission will be in effect until the City Council either adopts Ordinance 0925 or December 9th, 2025, whichever comes first. But this is really very fast moving. I, of course, am going to recommend that it come to the Maritime Advisory Board. If it becomes an ordinance, it is close enough that it has an ordinance number, which usually means that it's ready to be introduced. But I am having heated discussions with the attorney for Nautilus Point, and I do not want to introduce all of those uses, certainly not delicatessens and
Right.
yacht clubs and so forth.
So
I have a problem with people chartering kayaks and paddleboards and so forth. It increases water access, but not more than that. But anyway, this is really moving very, very quickly. So I'm bringing it to you now. 0925 is drafted actually several times. It is not yet posted, so you can't see it, but it is something that may get introduced and may be coming to you.
So Ross, if I might ask, just, how large is R4? I don't know how much land that encompasses.
Well, R4 are all of the apartments. Nautilus Point is the largest of the apartment complexes, but most but not all of the public housing is R4. A lot of condominiums are R4, not all. I have a map, you won't be able to see it, but there's a map that shows it's sprinkled all throughout the city. Interestingly enough, a lot of our cemeteries, particularly the one by Rail Boulevard Bridge, are R4. I guess that's kind of an occupancy, but in any event, R4 on the water is probably down to a handful at most. And the two of them are public housing. It's not clear that the housing authority would want or not want these kinds of services. I would think it would be a good thing, but anyway, this is being pushed through very quickly.
So Ross, you and I had this briefly discussion several weeks ago, and if I remember, I pulling up a zoning map on Back Creek. The only R4 that appeared that this affected on Back Creek is Nautilus, which for those of you who aren't familiar with Nautilus, it's the old Watergate, and Fairwinds, the condominiums.
Yeah, a little further up the creek. Yeah.
Which have their own, I happen to know, they have their own bylaws and restrictions that would probably not allow much of what would go into an R4 zoning change. That said, the one thing that, as you went through your checklist, but you didn't mention sort of at the end was, I assuming that the on-land boat storage really pertains to kayaks, SUPs, those type of vessels. I don't think they're going to put a travel lift in or a forklift in and do on-land boat storage, but maybe they are thinking about it. But that's an existing, just by going up and down the creek. It's clear that there's between a capital SUP. I think the Tiki boat may operate out of Nautilus, and I think there's another tour, Annapolis Naptown Tours or something like that, has a small boat that runs out of there also. They don't seem to be particularly a particularly heavy burden on the property and the creek, but it could open up more. But I think we have some of that already going on.
It calls for up to 5,000 square feet of on-land storage, and it doesn't limit it to paddle boards or kayaks in the way it was drafted.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so I find it interesting as we debate WMI and the restrictions that it puts on marine businesses and how to alleviate that. And then if I understand it, here's something in R4 that's going to be given the option of having a number of marine services. So while still having their R4 residential flexibility. So it seems to be counterproductive in many ways.
I am in favor of things that increase water access, and certainly capital SUP is one of the things that increases. It's certainly within the reach of people, virtually all income ranges. I'm not a big fan of paddle boards and the finish of races on Wednesday night, and so to the extent we can keep it over on Back Creek, I think that's a good thing. But in my discussions with both the planning director and the city attorney, we feel this is one of those less is more kinds of situations, accommodating a limited amount of water access. Yeah, but opening up wholesale all of R4. And I also don't think, there's not that many R4s that have connection to the water, but I don't think it should be limited to just one property. I think that it may not legally be spot zoning, but it sure smacks of it.
Right. All right. Well, we'll just see. You'll craft it down, and then it'll come to the council. It'll come to us, and we'll see what shakes out.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else have anything new for the world? Or at least new for our maritime world? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Boom.
Mr. Fagley and Mr. Hood has seconded it. All in favor?
You got it.
Hey,
Aye.
there you go. Everybody gets an early evening.